Hello again, YouTube. My name is Carla de Guzman. I'm a romance writer from the Philippines, and today I'm going to talk about my first romance class reads. So if you've been watching my videos for a while, for a hot second, you will notice that I talk about romance class a lot, and I love this community a lot, and I will talk about them to the ends of the earth. I decided to do a little bit of backtracking, kind of chronicling my history with Romanceclass, and I found this email that I sent to Mina via Esguerra in 2015 when I joined the Spark NA workshop. Everyone who signed up was taught how to plot a book, go through act 1, 2, 3, write out the characters, choose your ending, write your summary, everything. Basically everything that I needed to know to write a Romanceclass book, I learned from Spark NA. And if you completed your book by the specific time given, you had a chance to be published by a local publisher. I actually ended up finishing the workshop. I submitted my book and it was actually published here in the Philippines. And if you're interested, the book is called Midnights in Bali. I wrote this in 2015 and it was published 2016, 2017. The very first thing that we were asked in the workshop was to pick out 5 books from what was currently the Romanceclass catalog. Pick out 5 books, read through them, and send an email to Mina and tell her how it made you feel. So I have the email here. Classic. The thing that struck me most when reading these 5 books, and I said this exact thing, the women in these books were always more than capable, confident, smart, and relatable. These women are environmentalists, budding chefs, bakers, which I found very interesting. And I realized that the more kick-ass a character is, the more I love them. And again, apparently that hasn't changed from 2015. And it very much informs how I write now. So I thought it would be interesting to look back on what the first reads I did were. So for that workshop, one of the very first books I read was Never Just Friends by Mina via Esguerra. Technically, this isn't a book about Filipino characters. This is a book set in the US with American characters, but still, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I found the dynamic between Jake and Lindsay very interesting, and it made me want to keep reading. I like that they always seem to bring out the competitive side of each other, and when they're together, it's always like sparks flying in a very good way. This is the copy I picked up in 2015, I believe, and it is actually signed. We're talking about books by Filipino authors with Filipino characters and set in the Philippines. I would highly recommend one of my first Mina via Esguerra books, That Kind of Guy. Now, I am not biased here. I genuinely love this book. I remember reading it and thinking that Anton was just such a dreamboat. Mostly because I relate a lot to Julie. She always wants to be everything for everyone. And Anton just brought out a different side of her, which I found very interesting. The Cheek Manila series by Mina via Esguerra, which this book is a part of. All of the books are excellent. They're really good. I would definitely recommend picking them up. But That Kind of Guy is kind of special to me because I relate so much to Julie. I understand her. I feel her. And when she and Anton get together, it's like, you're doing it for us, girl. You're doing it for us. If you scroll through my Instagram, scroll, and, look at the part where around 2015, I actually posted a picture of this book. My first ever accidental bookstagram was Save the Cake by Stella Torres. Now, I distinctly remember going through the Romanceclass catalog, and this was the very first book that, the summary of the book really caught my eye because number 1, it had weddings, it had cake, it had a cute boy, it had a cute girl, and I was into it. I was really into it. And Save the Cake was the first Romanceclass book I read that was very heavy on familial relationships, which is very interesting because in general, Romanceclass books have, the families of our characters are very much involved in the story always. And this was the first one I read that the heroine was deeply, entangled in in her family business. So much so that a kiss was a huge issue. I enjoyed it so much that I took a picture of it and put it on my Instagram. That's how much I liked it. Now for this next book, I didn't realize it at the time, but I really, really loved this. This next book I read was The Kitchen When It Sizzles by Chrissie Peria. The reason why I didn't realize I love this so much was because Olivia Nadal is my first experience of a super strong bitchy heroine. Okay, she's not a bitch per se, but she had that quality of knowing exactly what she wanted and she was gonna get it. Like, no matter what, I want that, I'm gonna get it. Because the blurb itself said she's an almost perfect girl with almost perfect hair. Her only flaw is she can't cook, which, you know, I used to find that kind of, I don't like that. But when I read this, I realized that Olivia is pretty badass. And I like that about her. And the progression of her relationship with Nate was really good too. And it all, of course, it helped that Nate was a chef. He knew his way around the kitchen. Things happened in the kitchen and it was really nice. It was really hot. And I think one of the reasons why I like this book a lot as well was because Chrissie really kind of wove the food into the story. The things that they were eating were just as important as what was going on with them. So much so that all of this plays into the grand gesture at the end. And I will not spoil it for you because I highly recommend you pick up The Kitchen When It Sizzles. In fact, I realized that I love this book so much that I named my Flair character after Olivia Nadal. She's that great. I have not strayed from writing, you know, strong women ever since Olivia. Another first romance class read that I had was Finding X by Miles Tan. Really enjoyed this because at the time, Finding X was one of the few books in the romance class catalog that had a guy's point of view. And then when your boy is like a super awkward guy with blue hair, it catches your attention. And I thought it was super adorable, like Mateo's character. He's awkward, but not in a Big Bang Theory kind of way. He was awkward in a relatable way, which I found super endearing. And I couldn't believe, like, the girl, why aren't you falling in love with him yet? Yeah, I know you have an ex, but look at him. He's so cute. So that was my general feeling throughout my entire reading of Finding X. I would recommend this one. It's super adorable. Miles is a great writer. I've always thought so. And I highly recommend picking this up. Now this next book I super love, and it has a lot of sentimental value for me and maybe for some of the other members of Romance Class, because I remember going to the very first live reading, and we talk about this event a lot. I remember I was very new in the Romance Class community. I barely knew anyone. And then Mina said, well, if you're free, if you can go to this thing in Podium, there's a thing that's going to happen. So if you're free, you should go. I was wondering, okay, what's going on? And then she introduced us to these actors, explained that she was going to do live readings of some scenes from some of the books already in the catalog. And one of the more memorable reads at that time was Cover Story Girl by Chris Mariano. Then I remember distinctly, I hadn't read the book then. Or had I? No, I hadn't read the book then. So after hearing that live reading, I picked it up and I couldn't unhear Gio and Rachel's voices when I read Gio and Minhee. This book always makes me think of calamansi muffins, not just because it's set in Boracay, but because, you know, it's kind of tart, it's super sweet and super soft, just like Gio. So yeah, I recommend picking this up. And in almost the same vein as Cover Story Girl, I would also recommend picking up All's Fair in Blog and War by Chrissie Peria. Now, I realize this is the second Chrissie Peria book I've recommended, but I'm putting it together with Cover Story Girl because they're both set outside Manila. And I think this was the first time I actually thought, wait a minute, Filipinos travel a lot. Like, you can put them in a lot of contexts outside of the Philippines, which is why I also got into writing characters outside the Philippines. So I like the rivalry between Five and Jessie. I like when they ate egg tarts. I like the way they looked around for egg tarts. I could actually picture myself walking along behind them as they went around Macau. Except for the part where they went bungee jumping because heights freak me out. But still, it's a great book. It's super adorable. I would pick it up if I were you. Now, the last book I want to talk about is 100% still on my favorite, list of romance class books I've ever read. Bar none, this is One Night at the Palace Hotel by Bianca Mori. Now, first of all, this book is super steamy. It's like, I think this was the first book where I experienced like steam. Like they were really going at it. And I was like, whoa, this is the first time I felt like an adult reading adult things. It also features a super strong heroine in Consuelo de la Red, or Sue if you're gonna go there. And that's the reason why I liked her so much. She had zero control over her own life, but you know, she was really trying to take charge of it, and I could feel her struggle, and I understood that struggle. Reading a Bianca Mori book is a lot like watching a Baz Luhrmann film. Everything feels saturated and beautiful, but still kind of old. Well, for this series in particular, for this book in particular, I felt it a lot because Consuelo was kind of carrying a family legacy, and it was set in this gorgeous hotel. It is set in this gorgeous revamped hotel. You know, it evokes certain images that are kind of hallmarks, they are kind of classics in Bianca Mori's writing. And I enjoyed it a lot, and I still enjoy reading it, you know, from time to time. And it's still in my collection. So yeah, it's a great book. If you're looking for something steamier in the backlist of Romanceclass, I would definitely pick this one up. Now, I could sit here and talk on and on and on and on about everyone's very first Romanceclass book, but I don't want to, you know, I don't want to make this video like a bajillion years long. So, yes, I am wearing the same shirt as I was wearing in my desk tour video, but, you know, I didn't bother to change because it was all set up already. So that's it from me. If you're interested in finding out more about these books or checking out live readings of some of these books, you can look at the links in the description box below. If you're interested in buying copies of these books, you can check them out on Amazon. Almost all of them are available there. Or if you're from the Philippines, you can also get print copies from the authors themselves. I have their bios and everything linked in the description box. And if you're interested in finding out more about Romanceclass, please visit romanceclassbooks.com. And my books are there too, so you can find my books on Amazon, Smashwords, and if you're from the Philippines, you can order from me if you follow me at Carla K. De Guzman on both Twitter and Instagram. I try to post videos every Wednesday, so if you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, go ahead and click that button thing. And that's it. Okay, bye. You just put it in my eyebrow.
What?
Yeah.
But dapat hindi ko na matel kasi hindi ka pa nagpapawax ng eyebrows.
That's rude.
Medyo phallic yung name niya, Ate Carla.
Didn't make me go, ooh, what is that? No.